I used to ask God why all the time. I used to be like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me out of all people? Why?
I think she love me, cause I got the check on me. Won't spend a damn flex on me. Put a curse and hex on me. Scratch out my name, put the X on me. You should come check on me.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Destiny. And if you've seen my face before and you haven't subscribed yet, then what are you doing? So today's video is a serious one. It's something that I've gone through and I'm gonna go through for the rest of my life. I've been stalling to do this video for the longest. I'm basically going to be telling you guys about my autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis. This isn't going to be a super funny, entertaining video. I'm just going to be telling you guys what I've gone through. The point of this video is to spread awareness. I'm going to try my best to let you guys know what I went through. I'm going to try my best to explain how I felt, and I'm gonna explain the process and how I got to where I am now. If you came to this video with like bad intentions or negativity, if you don't really care about my channel, or if you're not interested in being informed about this or hearing my story in general, just click off of this video because this is a very serious topic to me and it's taking me a lot to actually talk about this in depth. I wrote this out. It's like 9 pages, well not 9 pages, but front and back. I'm gonna try my best to tell the story. With that being said, let's get right into the video. If you guys don't know what rheumatoid arthritis is, it's a chronic progressive disease causing inflammation in the joints and resulting in painful deformity and immobility, especially in the fingers, wrists, feet, and ankles. Normally this affects older people like 30 and up. It can affect people that are younger. It's actually rising in teenagers and even infants. I was dealing with the symptoms when I was 15 and stuff, but I wasn't officially diagnosed until I was 16 years old. My freshman year in high school, it was so much fun. It was my favorite. It's like freshman year and junior year are my 2 favorite years in high school. I was dancing, I was in multiple clubs, I was like living my life. When I think back to freshman year, I just think fun. Sophomore year was a completely different story because this is when everything went down. I remember being so excited for sophomore year and thinking about all the clubs, and I was excited for dance. When I went to my first dance practice, everything was fine. We were preparing for the first pep rally of the year. They wanted to be a little extra that year, and we started doing these little stunts, and they required a lot of getting up and getting down and like fast movements and stuff like that, and that was all fine. This is when I first started to experience soreness. I just thought it was because, you know, I hadn't been that active over the summer, so I just thought my body was shook, and it was my body's way of adjusting to going from not doing anything to doing all this activity. And my mom thought the same thing too. She thought it was just me being sore. She was like, give it a few days or a week and you'll be fine. The thing is, they never went away. They actually got worse. Months went by and I started to realize that there had to be something wrong because my knee pain was not like the normal soreness. It wasn't the normal knee pain. It was super stiff, painful. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd be sore. Doing little things started to get harder. Along with the knee pain, I started experiencing pain in my wrists. My weight started to drop like crazy. I was like getting super sick and my weight started to drop dramatically. I'm going to insert pictures of what I looked like at this time before I was even diagnosed. I did not know what was going on with me. I had no appetite. Like, my mom would cook my favorite foods and I would eat like a few spoons and I would be full. And that would be my meal for the day. I stopped eating at school because I wasn't hungry. I would just eat like one meal at home for dinner, and it wouldn't even be like the full entire meal. But I didn't even want to drink water. At the time, I noticed I was losing weight, but I didn't have a problem with it. If you watched my video talking about my struggle with body positivity, then you would have known that I've been struggling with my insecurities and weight for years. So actually I was a little happy that I was losing some weight, but the problem was I didn't stop losing weight. I kept losing weight. I was losing like 5 pounds a week, and I started to look sickly. I started to hate the way I looked. I felt weak all the time. I felt so sleepy, fatigued all the time. I didn't want to do anything. The pain was so bad that I naturally started to limp, like around the house, around the school. It would take me a little longer to get up the stairs. I would literally have to go like one step at a time, and I would have to hold on to the rails for support. I started to sneak and use the elevators. At my high school, you needed an elevator pass, which had to be approved through the nurse, and you had to have a reason to get the elevator pass. I didn't feel like doing all that, so I literally snuck and used the elevators for months. You know when you have somewhere to go and someone's walking slow in front of you and you're like, what the fuck is taking them so long? They walking like they ain't got nowhere to go, blah blah blah, and you talk shit in your head. That's one of the reasons why I started taking the elevator, because I was going up the stairs super slow, and in high school you only have a few minutes to get to your next class. Everybody's speed walking, and then there's just one girl taking her sweet time going up the stairs slowly. I stopped showing up to school. I stopped showing up to dance practice. I stopped showing up to my clubs. Imagine your alarm going off and you dreading getting up because you know that it's gonna hurt. Simple things like getting out of the bed hurt. I had to hold on to the wall and the sink in order to sit down and get up from the toilet. Stepping in and out of the bathtub took effort. I had to hold on to the wall. I couldn't put on jeans because it was hard to zip them up and button them, and they weren't too tight or too small because I'd lost a lot of weight. My mom actually ended up having to buy me a whole new wardrobe because my clothes did not fit me anymore. They were too big. So I just started wearing leggings. I wore a lot of leggings, a lot of camis, a lot of things like this, like easy things to throw on because I didn't want to be bothered with like jeans and all that stuff. I had to sleep in one position every night because it hurt just to turn to the other side. Like I couldn't toss and turn because that hurt. I slept in one position all night with a pillow or two in between my legs, and that's it. And every morning when I woke up, I was extremely sore. My wrists were stiff, my knees were stiff, and it's not just like the normal soreness. It's like pain. The best way I can describe it is if you like get your wrist sprained or something. I don't really know what that feels like. I don't know, but I feel like that's what a strained wrist would feel like. My knees, it feels like they were just locked. They were just locked, and it would take a while for them to, get back to normal, just to move around a little bit. So I just stopped going to school because I didn't want to have to deal with that. I didn't want to have to deal with getting up, getting out of bed, getting ready, because it was painful to me. Doing simple tasks that you guys do every day with no problem was painful to me, and I did not know why. I used to cry myself to sleep. I used to rant to my friend at the time. I remember one night I was just texting her and I was trying to explain like my pain and how I felt and how I felt so ugly. I felt so weak. I didn't understand why I was going through this. Like, I didn't understand why this had to happen to me during this year I was so excited for. I told her how horrible I felt all the time, and I felt like my life was limited. I was 15 years old. Everybody else was doing everything. Everyone else was just having fun and doing everything that they wanted to do. Had no problem playing sports, or my friends kept asking me where I was, why I wasn't coming to practice anymore. They thought I was just skipping. Imagine not being able to do what you want to do. Everybody else at that age, they're active. They can do whatever they want. They can play whatever sport they want. Me, I felt limited. I felt trapped. I felt like there was like no point. Like, I remember I did try to go to dance practice a few times. I couldn't squat like the other girls. I couldn't move as fast as the other girls. Literally, the choreographer, she had to like Everyone else had to squat and I had to be in the middle standing because I wasn't able to do what they were doing. And nobody understood. Like, I would tell people that I'm having knee pains and stuff like that, but nobody understood why. Like, when you hear arthritis, you don't think it's that deep. You just think, oh, it's a bit of joint pain. Like, people don't know how painful and how limiting it can be. I used to ask God why all the time. I used to be like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me out of all people? Why? And it was random. It was random. It didn't run in the family or anything. And normally rheumatoid arthritis skips generations, so it was odd for me to have it and my mom to have it too. When I did go to school though, I did try my best to stay positive. I tried my best to act normal. I'm not the type of person who likes to put my burdens on people or try to make them feel bad. Majority of the people I went to school with, they didn't even know I had it. There's gonna be people who click on this video, it's gonna be a surprise to them. Anyways, one day after lunch, I was just, doing the usual. I was going to take the elevator. I clicked the button and I was waiting for it to open. One of the security guys came up to me and he was like, oh, where's your pass? And I was like, oh, I don't have a pass, but my knees are really hurting me right now, so I don't want to walk up the stairs. And then he looked at my knees and then he was just like, oh, you need a pass from the nurse. And he escorted me to the nurse. This is when my life changed. Now, the nurse, everyone hated her, but she is the reason why I ended up getting the treatment that I needed. She didn't tell me this until after the fact, but when I walked in, she said that the first thing she noticed were my knees. They looked like melons. She literally told me that my knees looked like melons. Mind you, I was skinny. So you see my skinnier legs, then my knees, and then it's just like they were sticking out. She sat me down and she started questioning me. She asked me when I started experiencing the pain. She asked about my family history, stuff like that, nurse stuff. And then she started examining me and she looked at my knees, my wrists, my ankles, and she looked at my elbows. I didn't even know my elbows were affected, but she showed me how my elbows didn't straighten normally. They were literally bent, like they were stuck. Okay, like this elbow still can't straighten all the way. This is as far as it can get, but at the time it was like this. Like my elbows were like this and it couldn't go past that point because there was so much swelling and inflammation, and I didn't even notice that. I did notice that my wrists were like swollen. I couldn't move them. I couldn't really bend them normally. Like now I can bend them. I wasn't able to do this. She left my mom an emergency voicemail because my mom didn't answer the phone. And at the end of the day, my mom was at the school to pick me up and she took me straight to my primary doctor. My primary doctor was not really any help at all. She plays no role in this video other than the fact that she didn't know what was going on with me. She told me to go see an orthopedic. It took us a while to find a bone doctor, but when we did, he asked me questions like, did you ever break any bones, have any injuries, stuff like that. And I told him no, I literally had never injured or broken a bone, nothing in my life. He took my x-rays, he looked at my x-rays and told me that my bones were literally perfect, and then he told me that I needed to go see a rheumatologist. This is when it got a little difficult, and I want to say that I actually didn't see a rheumatologist until another month or two after this visit, because every rheumatologist she tried denied me because I was too young. Since this disease normally affects people, older people, everyone said that I was too young and that they couldn't treat me because I was under the age of 18. After being denied multiple times, my mom started to get frustrated and she called my insurance company. She told them that they needed to find me a rheumatologist that would take me and my insurance. The closest pediatric rheumatologist that took my insurance was literally an hour away. My first visit, I will never forget this. She was so nice. Her name was Dr. Weirs, and I honestly wish she was still my rheumatologist today. As soon as I walked in, she was so nice. She looked at me. She was like, oh my gosh, you poor thing. She was like, how long have you been dealing with this? And she was examining my body and telling me where all my inflammation is and stuff like that. That day, we did blood work, and when the results got back, she basically diagnosed me with juvenile polyarticular arthritis. polyhicular arthritis, whatever. Anyways, it's called juvenile because I was under the age of 18. That day, she came up with a game plan for me. She wanted to get my inflammation down as soon as possible, and then she would start me on a more permanent medication. So basically, she started me on 40 milligrams of the steroid called prednisone. And what that steroid was supposed to do was to get my inflammation down, take away the pain. And it's like a very, very fast working steroid. This medication was a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because I'll never forget that day after my doctor's appointment. I was tired, I was drained, I didn't go to school. I just went home with my mom. I took the medication and I just went to sleep. I remember I woke up that night because I had to pee. Did what I normally do. I just sat down, peed, got up, washed my hands. When I washed my hands, it hit me like a truck. I literally sat down and got up from the toilet. I didn't use the walls or the sink to like help me. I just got up like normal. I was so close to freaking screaming. I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, like I just sat on the toilet and I got up without using anything. Like I just felt normal. I felt so happy. Like I literally was tearing up because for months I had been feeling all crippled. So I would use the wall in the sink to slide down and I have to use the wall in the sink to get up from the toilet, and I didn't have to do that. I was shook to my core. So basically, I started on 40 milligrams and I had to be weaned off of it. I had to be weaned off of a steroid because you can't just start a high dosage and then just stop. You have to like slowly take less and less and less until you get to like no milligrams. The steroids, I love those because they made me feel normal. But the side effects were just, they were no joke. I was already depressed. I was already sad, and the steroids made me even more depressed. They made me even more insecure. They made me even more self-conscious about myself because one of the side effects of this is like it makes you hungry. It makes you extremely hungry. The higher dosage you're on, it makes you even hungrier. And 40 milligrams doesn't sound like a lot, but that's actually a very high dosage for that medication. And it was good because I started gaining weight, and it was good because I was already very skinny. So that was fine. That's also why she wanted me to be on the medication, because it would help with my weight and my inflammation. It would just start getting me back on track. Another side effect of this was called moon face, and it basically makes your face look like the damn moon emoji. And if you guys watched my body positivity video, I mentioned that I've gained weight over the past few months, and you probably noticed I gained weight over the past few months, and it's because I am taking prednisone again. My face, it's circular like the moon emoji because I'm taking that stupid medication. It really helps me manage my pain, and it really helps me feel normal. After the steroids, I was put on 2 medications, one called Humira and another called methotrexate. This is Humira. It's a shot pen. You probably seen the commercials. It's usually like older people. It's a shot pen. I take it twice a month, every 2 weeks. And another one was called methotrexate, and I had to give it to myself through a syringe. It was either I take like a shit ton of pills or I take the shot, and I hated taking pills, so I preferred to give myself a shot. Yes, I gave myself 2 shots. My sister, for a while, like I want to say for like maybe a month or 2, she would actually give me the shots. But then eventually I started to just do it myself, and I did it to myself for a good 2-3 years. This is what it looks like. It's like a 2-step. I pull this off, and then I just stab myself. My old rheumatologist was so sweet because my insurance company would not approve of me getting Humira. They would not approve to pay for it, and that medication is like $1,200 to $1,500 per pen, and I needed 2 of those pens. Me and my mom had to go up there every 2 weeks just so she could give me samples because she really wanted me to start on that medication right away. So I want to say for about 2 or 3 months I would go up there every 2 weeks so that she could give me the shot pen samples that they had in the office, and that was really sweet. She literally fought for me to get this medicine approved. Like, she kept going back and forth. I really appreciate her for that because it helps me a lot. Back then, since I was seeing my rheumatologist so frequently, I mentioned I was going up there every 2 weeks. And then eventually once a month, and then once every 2 months, and you know, until I had to get a new one. I missed a lot of school. I missed so much school because of this disease. However, my teachers eventually knew why, because I had to sign up for a 504 plan, which basically gave me little benefits. Like, it allowed me to leave class earlier to walk ahead to my next class. I was allowed to be a few minutes late. I was also allowed to have a student escort me, and like that means like they'd have to hold my book, hold my backpack and stuff, but normally I let my friends do that, and I would get them out of class so we can go to the bus and stuff like that. So kind of abused a little bit, but you know. I could bring a blanket to class because the cold and like rainy weather affects my joints, and it causes me to have flare-ups. If you don't know what a flare-up is, it basically, you could be living your life, you can be like not having any symptoms, you can be like inflammation free, no swelling, no pain. Then one day you wake up in excruciating pain. That's a flare-up, and they usually last between 3 days to a week, maybe even 2 weeks. My grades started to slip. Clearly, they didn't slip too low. Like, I was pretty good at doing my homework at home, and I would, if I had a test, I would go to school. If I had to turn in homework, I would go to school, stuff like that. I remember my AP World History teacher at the time. I got really close with her. Nobody really knew this. I was doing pretty good in her class because her class was difficult. Like, her class stressed everybody out, not as much as my chemistry teacher at the time, but we're not discussing that. I remember she came up to me and she was like, "What's going on?" She was like, "I could have sworn you were going to be one of my students who will pass the AP exam, but now I'm not so sure because you're missing so much class," and stuff like that. During lunch one day, I just broke down and I told her everything. I told her why I was missing so much class. I told her about my sickness and everything, so she knew. And she's not from here. I believe she was Polish, so she was like really strict, but she knew what I was going through, and she felt really bad for me. As I started to get better, I did start going to class more, started studying harder and stuff like that. As I started to improve, my grades started to improve as well. I was happier. I did start to get a little more active. But I did go back to dance. I still was limited, and I still am limited to this day. I still can't squat the way I used to be able to and do things I used to be able to, but I ended up passing all my classes with A's, B's, 1C. So that's pretty good when you take into account all of the shit that I went through. Currently, I'm 19 years old. I'm attending my #1 choice university in Orlando, Florida, UCF. Go Knights. I'm taking 3 different medications, including the prednisone. I no longer experience excruciating pain like I used to. I am so thankful. I was in a super dark place back then. I stopped thinking about what I wanted to do in the future. I stopped thinking about college. I literally threw all of that away. Because in my mind, at that point, all that did not matter to me. I titled this video, "I didn't want to be here anymore," because I literally did not. Now I know why God let me go through this. Now I know why He let me experience all that pain, and I know why everything went down the way it did, because now I can spread awareness. Now I can share my experience, and I can probably help someone. Even if I just help one person out there, I'll be happy, because back then I looked up YouTube videos and there was like one shitty video. Nothing really came up, nothing really helped. I kind of went through this by myself. The only person who can actually say that they understand what I went through is my mom. I wouldn't wish that amount of pain on anybody, not even my biggest enemy, because it's really not anything to play with. But my mom told me that I had rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis does not have me.